Life for a Caucasian family in the early 1900s couldn't have been very hard. A mere slave family of blacks couldn't have been the backbone of that family. Women had no power in the early 1900s, so a young promiscuous girl couldn't possibly be the obsession and the main focus of everyone in a Caucasian family during this time. But time and time again, the Compsons proved just the contrary to all the above in William Faulkner's seventh book, The Sound and the Fury. The tragic story of the failed Compson family is told in 4 sections in 1928, but jumps through time as the 3 Compson boys recall certain memories during their narration. Though the similarities between The Sound and the Fury and Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe are near invisible, the obvious tragedy of 2 failed families and lifestyles is hard to miss. It would seem that Benjamin "Benji" Compson, the severely retarded and last child of the Compsons, would be the main character of The Sound and the Fury. He is merely the disgrace and the annoyance of the family and nothing more. It is Candace, or Caddy, Compson who unknowingly ruins and controls the lives of everyone around her. She cares for Benji and plays a huge role in his life. So when she gets married and leaves the house, this leaves Benji lonely and sad, and his narration, the first of the story, consists mainly of memories of his beloved sister. Benji also remembers the slave family, who may as well have been his real family, seeing as though they were the only ones who didn't consistently fuss about his existence. Quentin, the oldest child, Harvard freshman, and Caddy's best friend, did not take pressure very well. His sister became his obsession in his life, and everything he did to make her life easier. So when the identity of her child's father became in great question, he desperately tried to change her reputation from whore to incest victim. He figured that way, she wouldn't have to suffer and have a bad reputation alone. But the idea didn't blow over, for everyone knew he wouldn't commit incest and was seen as pathetic for still having his virginity. During the present of Quentin's narration, Quentin spends his day preparing for an event that he never names, giving the appropriate letters to the appropriate people, and buying weights heavy enough for something which he does not reveal, and looking over bridges to see if they are deep enough for his purposes. The last narration is that of the second youngest, Jason. Jason Compson is the second, in his mid-30s, had become a mean and surly man. After their father's death in roughly 1912, Jason becomes the man of the house. Unlike his brothers, he couldn't care less about his older sister, but her decisions in life greatly affect his own nonetheless. He was offered a good job at Herbert Head's bank, but was forced to reject the offer after his divorce from Caddy. And to add to Jason's misery of having to work at a farm supply store, he has to take care of and look after Caddy's unpleasant, rebellious, and unhappy, illegitimate daughter, Miss Quentin. Mrs. Compson disowned Caddy, but took in her daughter, and Jason only agreed to look after her only if Caddy kept her distance from the family and agreed to send child support. Needless to say, Jason stole the money for himself. The typical life of the Southern American family in the early 1900s is still well known and highly respected in the 21st century, and will continue to touch the hearts of many. William Faulkner Summers was born and raised in Oxford, Mississippi, with his parents Jill and Paul Summers and his 2 brothers. Faulkner served in both the Canadian and British Royal Air Force in World War I. Other than this, he spent a lot of time on a farm in Oxford working on his poetry, stories, and novels. Faulkner's fine and well-respected works gained him much fame and recognition, which he did not appreciate at all. He preferred to be left alone, but his wishes for isolation interested the media and his fans. The Sound and the Fury's name was derived from William Shakespeare's Macbeth, where it is said the tale is told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Faulkner received the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1949. It is often said to be one of the 100 best English novels of the 20th century, and reached Oprah's book club during the summer of '05. A large African family would seem to be lower on Maslow's hierarchy theory than an aristocratic Caucasian family in the early 1900s. But once again, the Compson proved just the contrary. In Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart, the main character, Okonkwo, is the head of his large family. Almost every member of Okonkwo's family easily reached at least the esteem level in Maslow's hierarchy. Sadly, though, many members of the Compson family just barely reached the safety level. While both authors are famous for their unique writing styles, the 2 could not be more different. They both skip several years according to significance, so their ways of doing so differ tremendously. Also, many characters' personalities and destinies resemble one another, such as Miss Quentin and Nwoye running away, the suicides of Okonkwo and Quentin, and the negative male influences of Okonkwo and Jason. The Sound and the Fury is for deeper meaning and critical thinkers. readers, or for those who enjoy chaos or jigsaw puzzles. I did not enjoy the book because I do not fit that criteria and prefer books that do not require constant analysis. I do, though, appreciate its beauty. I especially liked Benji's narration, even though it was the toughest to understand because of his retardation. Never again will I, or anyone else who reads this book, assume anything about the lives of a certain person or group of people because of their race or outward appearance, thanks to Faulkner.